Hi there, this is Jasmine Jones, Manager of Research and Insights at AHP, and I'm going to show you how to create your own comparison group for benchmarking. So as you can see, we're already in the Report on Giving and Benchmarking database. If you're not there, just go to your search bar and type in surveys.ahp.org and you will get right to the site. And then you just need to log in, and then you will have this screen here. As you can see, we're just doing a test person today, but this obviously would be your organization's information. So what we're going to do first is just go to the benchmarking tab and go down to comparison groups. Now when you get here, there's going to be a couple of different options. First of all, you can see these are the buttons that we're going to be working with, but this kind of gives you some information about the limitations on your comparison group. There are a couple of limitations that we set on the comparison groups that you make, so this kind of just gives you some information about that. And we also have a legend as well, which we'll get to that in a second. But for right now, we're just going to go through the buttons up here. So there are pretty much two ways that you can make a comparison group. You can either do one from scratch. So if you know the names of organizations that you want to include in your comparison group, you can just type them in here. So let's say this right here, and it checks all of the organizations. But if there's one that you don't want to include, you can always uncheck them as well. And so we have a button down here that says remove unchecked organizations. So as you can see, there's 14 organizations in our group right now. So if we wanted to save this, let's just say test organizations. What I like to do too is I usually like to put how many organizations are in my comparison group just so I know when I'm running reports, but you don't have to do that. Then you can just save. You can also print these, the list of organizations if you just want that for reference, but you can always do that later, or you can just always copy and paste as well. But we're just going to save for right now. When we save our comparison group, it brings you back to this main comparison group page, and when we scroll down, you can see right here that we have our comparison group that we just created. So the second way that you can make a comparison group is you can do New Group Wizard, which that's the one that I typically like to do just because it's a little easier, and sometimes you don't really know which organizations you want to include in your comparison group, so this makes things a little bit easier. So you're going to see here, there's a couple of different options. Groups and countries. I like to just do all groups. There's a couple of groups that we segment organizations into just for organization's sake, but I usually just like to do all groups just to make things easy. And you can also do different countries as well. US and Canada are the two main ones that we collect data for, but we have collected data in the past for folks in Switzerland, New Zealand, the UK, but United States and Canada is where you're going to find the most folks. If you don't click anything here, it's just going to put everyone in your comparison group. Again, it's most likely just going to be US and Canada because we don't have many organizations that submit data for these other countries. So we're just going to do all groups, and when we scroll down, we have a couple of different options as well. Participation and survey variables. So when you click down on the participation slide here, you can say, so pretty much you can do one of two things. You can say organizations that participated in, for instance, fiscal year 2018 Report on Giving survey, or you can say any of the selected surveys. So if they participated in 2016 but didn't participate in 2018, that would loop them all together, versus if you say all of the selected surveys, they have to have participated in all 3 of these fiscal years. For right now, we're just going to do 2017 just for the purposes of this. So you have that variable checked. And then for survey variables, this is basically pulling data from the actual survey itself. And when you click this drop down, you're going to see a couple of different options. You can do it by entity type, operating revenue, net patient service revenue, expense budget, the fundraising structure, age and years, direct fundraising staff FTE numbers, whether or not they were in an active campaign for that fiscal year, and the total number of staff beds. So typically, I like to start small with how I make comparison groups. You can put different variables on your comparison group, but you just have to be careful to not make your margins too narrow, because then your comparison group is going to be very, very small. And one of the things as well is when you make a comparison group, it needs to be 6 organizations or more for you to actually get results when you're running your predefined reports and your scorecard and all of that stuff. So to start, let's just do entity type, and we're going to click add over here. Then you get a little drop down and it gives you all the different entity types that you can pick. So let's just do community hospital, because that's usually a pretty easy one. And if we want to add another variable, we can do that as well. So let's say what's the number of direct fundraising staff? Let's just do like a really wide range, like 2 to 15 or something. Let's do that. Other classifications, just don't worry about this tab. And then we're going to hit search, and it's going to give you how many organizations fit your criteria here. So again, we were looking at folks who participated in the fiscal year 2017 Report on Giving survey, who were a part of a community hospital that had 2 to 15 direct fundraising staff FTEs. You can see we get 61 organizations here. It gives you the organization name and it gives you their location as well. So if you're okay with this, that's okay. You can go ahead and save that. If you want to add more variables, you can do that as well. But let's just save this one. So let's just do test organizations, community hospital with 2 to 15 FTEs. And again, I have to put how many organizations are in my comparison group just so I know. The other part, and I didn't name this very well, but one of the things I usually do is I will put which report on giving it was. So this was 2018 report on giving. I like to do that just so I know if I make a lot of comparison groups, that way I know specifically which one we're looking at. You can also add a description too. I didn't say that earlier, just in case if you're someone like me who has 60 comparison groups at once, you kind of want to know why you're doing one. So we can just say created for demo purposes, and then we save. And again, like the previous one, this is going to appear. Where do we put it? Here. So now we have that here. And when you hover over it, you're going to see your description that you added in. Now, one of the last ways that you can make a comparison group, you can actually combine groups that you've made before. Not a lot of people use this feature, but you can if you'd like. So you can pretty much just scroll through all of your comparison groups that you've created and just combine them. That's pretty much what it does. So for instance, if we want to combine these 3, we can do that. New group names, let's say FTEs between 4 and 15. That's quite a lot. Include organization count in name. So this will automatically do this for you if you'd like, but you don't have to do this. We can do this just because we don't know offhand how many organizations are in each of these. So create group. And then it'll give you like a little message here once it's successfully created. So it says, successfully created new comparison group, FTEs between 4 and 15, and this has 75 organizations in it. So if you want, then you can go back to your comparison group list. And now you'll see that it is here. And again, if you want to make changes to the name, you can do that. So a lot of times I like to include in, just so I know what this number is. And you can just make a description as well. Or just hit save. And you're done. Now we're going to get to the legend. And I'm just going to kind of go through here. So you see there's a couple of different options you have when you're actually looking at your comparison groups. You have your personal groups, which these are groups that you create yourself and no one else can see these. Shared groups, you actually have the option to share groups with other folks who are in your organization, so you can do that as well. Public groups, these are groups that AHP has created for you. Again, we do this every year. We make just a bunch of different groups for you to kind of go in, run your scorecard, and just get quick results, but you don't have to use these, but these are just here for your benefit. So there's a couple of different things here. There's an edit pencil, there's a trash pencil, or I'm sorry, a trash icon if you just want to get rid of your comparison group. You can also make a copy of them. If you want to have multiple copies and you just want to make little tweaks, you can do that as well. You can move a comparison group to shared, so you can share this with other folks in your organization. So you can copy a comparison group as well, and that will add in your organization to the comparison group too, but you don't have to do that. And this checkbox here, this is one of the biggest things that we see when participants are trying to run their scorecard and they don't see a comparison group. It's because this is unchecked. So you need to make sure that this is checked if you want this to appear when you're actually running your scorecard. If this is unchecked when you go to run your scorecard, when you do the drop down, it's not this comparison group would not show up. So you need to make sure that this is checked. So let's say that we do want to edit this. You pretty much can just edit the name of the organization or the description. You can also delete it again. If you want to move it to shared, you can do that. So when you do that, you see that it's not in your personal groups anymore, but it gets moved to your shared groups. So now we have this comparison group right here. You can also see who shared the comparison group. So, you know, Sally Smith shares a comparison group with you. You're going to see her name here. But if you did that on accident or something like that, you can always move it back to your personal.